The F6F Hellcat wasn't designed to compete. It was built to end the fight, born from desperation, and forged under pressure. It became the weapon that shattered Japan's air supremacy, fast, armored, and brutally efficient. The Hellcat reclaimed the Pacific sky one dogfight at a time, but what made it truly terrifying wasn't just its power. It was how it turned ordinary pilots into unstoppable aces. In 1942, America's naval air power was hanging by a thread. The Japanese Zero ruled the skies, faster, lighter, and deadlier than anything the U.S. had. Early American fighters like the Wildcat were outdated, slow, and easy targets for Japan's elite pilots. The Navy needed a miracle, and they needed it fast. That miracle came from the Grumman Aircraft Engineering Corporation, tasked with creating a fighter that could survive brutal carrier warfare and outperform the Zero. Grumman's engineers worked with urgency few could imagine. They studied every piece of intelligence available, even dissecting a captured Zero to find its strengths and its flaws. The result was the F6F Hellcat, a fighter that traded elegance for endurance and finesse for sheer power. Its massive Pratt & Whitney R-2800 engine delivered blistering speed and climb performance. Its armor and self-sealing fuel tanks gave pilots a fighting chance to make it home, something Japanese pilots rarely enjoyed. With 6.50 caliber Browning machine guns in its wings, the Hellcat wasn't built for show. It was built to destroy. When it first took flight in 1943, the Hellcat rewrote the story of the Pacific War. The skies once ruled by the Zero were soon filled with the thunder of American engines. But the real surprise wasn't the aircraft itself. It was what happened when inexperienced pilots climbed into the cockpit. The Hellcat became more than a fighter. It became a teacher. It turned rookies into heroes. By 1943, the U.S. Navy was filled with young, untested pilots, many who had never seen combat, but once they flew the Hellcat, they became part of an unstoppable force. Grumman designed the Hellcat to be forgiving. It handled predictably even under stress. Unlike the Zero, which punished every mistake, the Hellcat gave pilots confidence to push harder and fight longer. Its wide landing gear made carrier takeoffs and landings, usually the most dangerous part of naval aviation, much safer for green pilots. That confidence meant survival. In battle, that advantage became lethal. The Hellcat's power-to-weight ratio let it climb higher and dive faster than most Japanese planes. In the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the infamous Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, Hellcat pilots destroyed over 300 Japanese aircraft in a single day. Many of those victories came from pilots who had only months of experience. By the end of World War II, the Hellcat achieved a kill ratio of 19-1, the best of any American aircraft. But its story wasn't just about numbers. It represented a shift from desperate defense to confident dominance. Pilots trusted it completely, calling it the ace maker for a reason. Once the Hellcat entered full-scale naval combat, it became more than a machine. It became a legend. The showdown between the F6F Hellcat and Japan's Mitsubishi, a 6M0, wasn't just a clash of aircraft, it was a clash of eras. The Zero had dominated since Pearl Harbor, agile, elegant, and deadly in the right hands. But the Hellcat brought something new, durability. It was heavier, stronger, and faster. Built not for grace, but for victory. When the two finally met, the results were devastating for Japan. The Hellcat's armor could absorb punishment that would tear a Zero apart. Its 6.50 caliber guns ripped through enemy formations with ruthless precision in head-on combat. The Zero's lack of armor turned every encounter into a suicide mission. The Americans adopted boom and zoom tactics, diving from above, striking fast and climbing out before the lighter Zero could react. The Hellcat's superior roll rate and stability at high speed meant it dictated the fight on its own terms. Japanese aces, trained for turn-based dogfights, couldn't adapt fast enough. By mid-1944, the Zero's reign was over. The Hellcat had achieved total air superiority, wiping out Japan's veteran squadrons and leaving new recruits to fight hopeless battles. The Pacific became Hellcat territory. Japanese airfields turned into graveyards of burned-out Zeros. But the Hellcat's greatest strength wasn't just its dominance, it was how easily it maintained it. It didn't need elite pilots or perfect conditions. It made victory predictable, reliable, and unstoppable. And when the deadliest naval battles arrived, this beast would prove that owning the sky was only half the story. The Pacific Ocean was the battlefield. Aircraft carriers were the kingdoms, and the Hellcat was their crown jewel. Before the Hellcat, carrier aviation was fragile. Planes crashed, decks burned, and missions failed from mechanical breakdowns. But the F6F changed everything. Built specifically for carrier warfare, it featured wide landing gear, reinforced wings, and unmatched engine reliability. Its design made it both powerful and practical. A carrier could launch dozens of Hellcats within minutes, forming air groups that could protect fleets or strike deep into enemy territory. Maintenance crews loved it. Every part was easy to access. Repairs were quick, and its reliability was legendary. In an environment ruled by salt, humidity, and chaos, that dependability meant everything. The Hellcat became the spearhead of every major U.S. naval offensive, from the Marshall Islands to the Battle of Leyte Gulf. It escorted bombers, intercepted raids, and destroyed Japanese scouts before they could report American positions. With radar support and disciplined formations, Hellcat squadrons became flying machines of destruction. Pilots described it as a flying battleship. It could take off from cramped decks, survive flak and gunfire, and still bring its pilot home, even with holes torn through its fuselage. Japan's planes, meanwhile, were light, unarmored, and easily lost to simple mishaps. The difference was night and day. While Japan's strength crumbled, America's only grew. By 1945, entire carrier groups revolved around the Hellcat's dominance. It wasn't just a plane, it was a symbol of America's industrial and military might. And as Japan's defenses fell apart, the Hellcat's final missions would prove how far its legend could go. Beyond the skies, into history itself. The Hellcat's success wasn't luck. It was the result of engineering perfection meeting strategic necessity. In June 1944, the Battle of the Philippine Sea became its crowning moment. Hundreds of Japanese aircraft took off, but few returned. Hellcat pilots destroyed nearly 80% of them, earning the name the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. From that day, Japan's air war was effectively over. From Iwo Jima to Okinawa and Formosa, the Hellcat ruled the skies. It even faced Japan's new Kawanishi N1K and Nakajima Ki, -84 faster, more advanced fighters on paper, but experience and superior training always tipped the scales. Pilots trusted the Hellcat with their lives. They dove through flak, strafed airfields, and fought through clouds, knowing their plane could take the hits and still deliver victory. Even Japan's last weapon, kamikaze pilots, couldn't reclaim the skies. By the war's end, the F6F Hellcat had destroyed more than 5,000 enemy aircraft. More than any other Allied naval plane, it gave America the edge not through glamour, but through reliability, numbers, and trust. When peace came, the Hellcat didn't fade away. It became the blueprint for modern naval aviation. Its core philosophy, power protection, and pilot confidence, shaped every fighter that followed, from the F8F Bearcat to the F-14 Tomcat. Even Japan, rebuilding its air force, studied the Hellcat's design to learn from the very machine that once defeated them. Pilots never forgot its steady climb, forgiving landings, and that thunderous engine roar that promised safety amid chaos. Unlike most wartime aircraft, the Hellcat didn't disappear into scrapyards. It continued flying and training, testing, and reserve roles well into the 1950s. Today, only a few Hellcats remain, preserved in museums and air shows, their deep blue wings gleaming in the sunlight. Every rivet, every scar tells the story of courage, innovation, and victory. The F6F Hellcat wasn't just a plane. It was a monument to resilience, ingenuity, and the unbreakable will of those who flew it. Even decades later, the world still remembers the aircraft Japan never wanted to face. If stories of wartime innovation and heroism inspire you, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. There's more incredible history waiting to be uncovered, right here on Heritage: Legends of the Sky.